premiers, and those representing the premiers. There seem to be numbers today. Honorable Deputy Ministers, honorable members of the House, special guests, let me begin by thanking the presiding officers for the opportunity to participate in this important Heritage Month debate. Nearly 20 years ago, we demonstrated to the world that it is possible to walk away from divisions and hatred and build a new, non-racial and non-sexist, democratic and prosperous society. In that way, South Africans laid a firm foundation for a better future working together. The passing of the progressive constitution, the supreme law of the land, also confirmed that there would never again be a cruel system of institutionalized racism and subjugation of any group of people in our beautiful country. Since 1994, we have been building a new legacy and a new heritage for our country, based on the vision of building a united, non-racial, non-sexist, democratic and prosperous South Africa. We are happy today to have a special guest in this House, 74 second-year journalism students from Tswana University of Technology in Pretoria, Gauteng Province, as recognized by the Speaker. They are accompanied by their lecturers, Dr. Ndibuniswani Chindumba, and Mr. Levindo. The presence of the students is important as the youth needs to understand and appreciate the rich heritage of their country and the foundation that has been laid for a democratic society. Honorable members, the theme of this year's Heritage Month celebrations is reclaiming, restoring, and celebrating our living heritage. Aspects of living heritage include cultural traditions, oral history, performance, popular memory, skills and techniques, indigenous knowledge systems, and the holistic approach to nature, society, and social relationships. The theme talks to our painful history. One of the powerful weapons of colonialism and apartheid was to control the production and reproduction of knowledge about the past of indigenous communities and to deny them a place in history as a people who rightfully belong to this land. For this reason, the struggles for liberation and freedom that were waged over the past 3 centuries were not just about political freedom only. They were also about social, cultural, and economic freedom. They were about the oppressed reclaiming their identity, history, culture, and traditions, and demanding their rightful place in history and in their country. The 19 years of freedom and democracy have thus included the building of a new cultural and heritage landscape through the development of new national symbols, monuments, museums, and festivals that define the new free, non-racial, and democratic South Africa. Amongst the visible aspects of our heritage are our popular national symbols. Our colorful rainbow national flag was unveiled on the 20th of April of 1994, and it continues to instill pride whenever we see it flying anywhere in our country or the world. The coat of arms not only pays homage to some of the oldest inhabitants of our land and their languages, it also expresses an ideal that is central to our national identity: unity in diversity. At the provincial level, all 9 provinces designed and registered their coats of arms with Bureau of Heraldry. Those provincial coats of arms mark a remarkable departure from Western designs to an introduction of indigenous shapes of shields and crests inspired by African traditions and celebrating our African heritage. Our national anthem is one of the most powerful demonstrations of the willingness of South Africans to find each other under difficult circumstances. It brings 2 compositions together to bridge past divides and heal the past wounds of a nation that was once painfully fragmented. The national anthem is also unique in that it is sung in 5 languages, demonstrating the tireless desire to reconcile and promote national unity. Our national orders, which are the highest honors that can be bestowed by the President to locals and foreign nationals who are friends of the Republic, recognize communities that were previously excluded while paying homage to South Africa's rich heritage. All these symbols contribute immensely to the building of a new heritage landscape and to the consolidation of our priceless heritage of freedom and democracy. Malungu endlu yesishamthetho ahloniphekileyo, mangigcizelele ukuthi amasiko nomlando wezwe lakithi ujule kakhulu, udinga ukuthi siulondoloze futhi siusabalalise, waziwe ezweni lonke nasemhlabeni wonke jikelele. Zoqhubeka njengohulumeni ukwakha amaziko omlandu noma izizindi zomlandu omusha wezwe lakithi. Lokhu sikwenzela ukubuyisa isithunzi nesiqi sabantu nesezwe lakithi. Nokugcizelela ukubuyisana nokwakha kabusha isizwe sakithi. Honorable members, one of the biggest heritage milestones for the country was the marking of 100 years of the oldest liberation movement in Africa, the ANC, last year. The ANC centenary was celebrated all over the country as well as in the African Union and the United Nations as a celebration of the country's rich heritage of fighting for freedom, equality, human rights, and dignity. In his speech at the high-level symposium on South Africa's contribution to the fight against racism and xenophobia at the United Nations in September 2011, ahead of the centenary, United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said, and I quote, "When Nelson Mandela walked free, the world sang with joy. Ever since, South Africa has stood as a beacon of hope for Africa. I felt it myself last year when I visited Johannesburg for the opening of the World Cup. Overwhelmingly, people want this non-racial democracy to succeed," unquote. Indeed, we have a responsibility to make our country succeed. The UN Secretary General also emphasized the fact that South Africa had quickly built a tradition of smooth democratic transition. He said the following again, and I quote, "It has a progressive constitution that entrenches and protects rights that most developed countries have not managed to guarantee, and gives women 1/3 of the seats in parliament. South Africa has a robust economy and is an influential voice in continental and world affairs. Yet, with such success, such power, also comes great responsibility," unquote, he reminded us. It is the knowledge of that responsibility that has made us to emphasize the need to work together in building the united, non-racial, non-sexist, democratic and prosperous South Africa we all seek. The important question to ask is, how can we promote national unity and a new national identity further? How can we improve the understanding and appreciation of the country's new inclusive heritage across all communities? It means we need to work harder, all of us. There should be some non-negotiables that we agree on as political leaders as we take the country forward. Our vision as the ANC government is to build a united, non-racial, non-sexist, prosperous, equal, and inclusive society. We believe it is not difficult to unite all leaders behind this vision. Kujwar. Indeed, the overwhelming acceptance of the National Development Plan by Parliament is an indication of agreement with regards to what South Africa should look like by the year 2030. That is an encouraging development. There have been other remarkable achievements over the past 19 years. It was never going to be easy to build a new nation out of the ashes of colonial oppression and apartheid. It was also not going to be easy for communities to part with national symbols they had known all their lives and embrace new ones, as they did, for an example, with the new national anthem. But all that has been achieved in the past few years, which indicates the determination of our people to build a new society. Allow me, therefore, Honourable Speaker and Honourable Chairperson, to thank all South Africans for their tolerance, patience, and understanding, in particular during the process of building a new heritage landscape of the country since 1994. New names of provinces, cities, towns, streets, airports, roads, and bridges were finalized and rolled out nationally with minimal resistance. It is clear that those affected understood the necessity of correcting the wrongs of the past and to build a new inclusive society. This maturity is one of the key attributes of the South African people. We are always able to discuss and solve our problems, regardless of how insurmountable they look to outsiders. The uniqueness of South Africa also emerges in some of the monuments. For an example, in Pretoria, Gauteng, a road has been built linking Voortrekker Monument and Freedom Park as part of our ongoing commitment to reconciliation, social cohesion, and nation building. People visiting the Voortrekker Monument can easily walk across and also visit the Freedom Park and vice versa. In addition, the construction of a bridge linking Ngome Museum and the Blood River Monument has also been completed, symbolizing reconciliation and a new beginning amongst communities that sought to destroy each other in the past. We also have monuments marking major events in history, such as the construction of a heritage center marking the Pondo Revolt on Inguza Hill in the Eastern Cape. Honourable members, our struggle was also fought beyond the borders and led to loss of life of foreign nationals. In this regard, the Matola Raid Memorial in Mozambique has been completed and will forever be a reminder of the supreme price the people of Mozambique paid to help liberate South Africa. Canimambo, muito obrigado, moçambicanos. O nosso país é teu país. The monument will also serve as a reminder of the contribution of the people of SADC and Africa in general to the attainment of freedom and democracy in our country. Honourable members, to further correct and reverse the colonial legacy and restore the dignity of the Khoi and San communities further, we repatriated the stolen remains of Klaas and Troy Benak, whose remains had been removed from their graves by Australian scientists, by Australian racist scientist Rudolf Poch in September 1909 and sent to Vienna for experiments. The Heritage Program continues under the leadership of the Department of Arts and Culture. Many graves of liberation stalwarts have been restored, upgraded, and declared as national heritage sites as part of recognition of the immense role they have played in building the type of society we live in. Additional work in 2013 includes the commemoration of 100 years of the Union buildings, which will entail building new symbols of hope around the Union buildings precinct. This includes the statue of former President Nelson Mandela, the first and founding president of the democratic South Africa, who remains an inspiration to our people and the world. We are also completing the construction of the home of the late president of the ANC, Mr. Oliver Tambo, in Bizana, in the Eastern Cape. This will help the people of South Africa to know the contribution of this great hero of our liberation struggle. Who kept the flame of freedom burning against all odds. Honourable members, as indicated earlier, in addition to the enormous contribution of heritage to reconciliation and nation building, the program also contributes to inclusive economic growth and job creation. The Robben Island Museum and World Heritage has demonstrated the economic potential of heritage tourism. During the 2012 to 2013 financial year, Robben Island Museum raised more than what it receives from the Department of Arts and culture, which was approximately 60 million rand against the grant of 58 million rand. The sources of revenue are ticket sales, conferences and events, specialized tours, and VVIP visits. A number of heads of state and government have visited the island, thus assisting to further promote this political university that produced luminaries such as our icon President Mandela and his peers. Currently, maintenance projects on Robben Island have contributed to employment of more than 100 young people from local communities, a demonstration of the impact of cultural and heritage tourism. We need to build on this economic potential and return our heritage projects into key components of our economic development plans. Honorable members, incidentally, September is also Tourism Month. The Department of Tourism has already launched its September campaign, encouraging South Africans to explore their country, while also encouraging as many foreign tourists as possible to visit and enjoy the scenic beauty, the arts, culture, and heritage of our country. Compatriots, the primary source of our living heritage is the senior citizens of our country, our older persons. The Presidency will launch Older Persons Week on the 29th of September. Older Persons Week normally runs from the 1st of October, which is International Older Persons Day, as designated by the United Nations, to Grandparents' Day on the first Sunday of October. The Department of Social Development will lead celebrations during that week. Other departments and provinces will also host events promoting the well-being, role and contribution of older persons in society, and also communicating the services they provide to older persons. We urge members of Parliament to participate in events in their constituencies to support and promote the custodians of our living heritage. Honorable members, let me again thank the presiding officers for the opportunity to open this debate. We still have a long way to go towards a truly inclusive and non-racial heritage, but we have laid a good and solid foundation. Work must continue to promote social cohesion and national unity, and to build a prosperous South Africa to fully achieve the ideals of the founding father of this democracy, former President Mandela. I would like to leave you with the words of Inkosi Albert Luthuli as he accepted the Nobel Peace Prize in 1961. He had this to say, and I quote, Our vision has always been that of a non-racial democratic South Africa, which upholds the rights of all who live in our country to remain there as full citizens with equal rights and responsibilities with all others. For the consummation of this ideal, we have labored unflinchingly. We shall continue to labor unflinchingly. Close quote. I thank you.
I thank the Honourable President for his input.
Well, that was President Jacob Zuma leading the debate in the National Assembly, in a joint sitting of the National Assembly. Well, rather in a joint sitting of Parliament, leading the debate in a joint sitting of Parliament on the significance of the National Heritage Day, which South Africans will celebrate on the 24th of this month. Now, for full coverage of this debate and many other stories that emanated from Parliament today, please look out for SABC News Bulletins. Now, from me and the rest of the team that brought you this special broadcast from Parliament, we hand you over to our colleagues in Johannesburg. Goodbye.
Vaholobye na swandla swa vona vachaviseki swirho swa palamende na ti-premier leti nga kona namuntlha na lava nga va yimela vavasati na vavanuna maAfrika-Dzonga hinkwawo enhlekani vaxumi. On this day, as we reaffirm our nation's heritage, let us take this opportunity to pause, look back and reflect on who we are and where we come from as South Africans. Fellow South Africans, let me start by making the assertion that we are a great people and we are building a great nation. We are the children and grandchildren of President Nelson Mandela, a global icon of our liberation struggle, the founding father of our democratic nation, and a symbol of hope to all those fighting for a just and equitable world order. Up to this day, Tata Madiba remains an inspiration to all of us, inspiring us to work even harder towards the goal of one nation, one people, united in their diversity. It is in keeping with the proud legacy of Tata Madiba and his generation of freedom fighters that today we are building a proud, caring and inclusive society based on the values of Ubuntu, democracy, equality, selflessness, and dignity for all. As this generation of South Africans, we will continue to uphold these values as we build the new South Africa as envisioned in the Freedom Charter. As we mark the centenary of the Union buildings this year in December, President Zuma will unveil the statue of Tata Madiba at the Union Building. Dalbung. 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 Siyabonga Nkosi Buteles. Honorable Speaker, we are the descendants of great kings and warriors. We are the descendants of Soshangan, the descendants of King Shaka Kasenzangakona, of King Mziligas. We are the descendants of Koshi Mushweshwe, King Makado, King Hintsa, and Koshi Sikukuni. We carry within us the blood of the great warrior Ngungunyane F. Chief Bambata. We are the descendants of Makana, David Stearman, and many others who fought gallantly against colonial aggression and domination. They imbued in us the spirit of no surrender. We are the descendants of the Indian indentured laborers who came to our country more than 150 years ago and made a meaningful contribution in developing the industrial base of what is today KwaZulu-Natal. We are the descendants of the Malay slaves who up to this day continue to enrich our cultural and religious life. We are the children and grandchildren of the migrant laborers who came from Lesotho, Mozambique, Malawi, and many parts of Southern Africa to work in the mines, contributing immensely to making South Africa the biggest economy in the continent. Let our message be loud and clear throughout the continent that we are one people. The evolution of our society was also influenced by the early indentured laborers from China who today are part of the fabric of our cultural life. Honorable Speaker, we are a resilient people. We defeated the settler colonialists whose motive was to take away land from the indigenous people and strip them of their dignity. Yet today, we cannot define them outside the history that makes us who we are as a nation. We have learned to forgive, but not to forget. Honorable Speaker, efforts are underway to reclaim and give back the land to the people and bring back their dignity. Honorable Speaker, we are the cradle of humankind. Evidence of early human life exists in Maruping and Sterkfontein caves in Gauteng. There is also evidence of early human civilization in Ethiopia. This confirms that Africa is indeed the cradle of humankind. Honorable Speaker, we originate from the great kingdom of Mapungubwe. Long before the colonialists set foot on our shores, we were already melting gold and trading with the world. Today, our country boasts no less than 8 World Heritage Sites. The Robben Island that the President referred to, Ukahlamba Drakensberg, Mapungubwe, Isimangaliso Wetlands, the Cape Flora region, Vredefort Dome, Maruping, the cradle of humankind, the Richtersveld cultural and botanical landscapes. Our ancestry is also that of the Khoi and the San, the Bushmen and the Griqua, who suffered some of the worst brutal forms of oppression by colonialists, but are today standing tall as proud members of the South African nation. We are the children and grandchildren of the survivors of the South African War, where both black and white South Africans lost life and limb, including women and children who perished in the concentration camps. We are today working together to build this great nation. As a nation, we stand on shoulders of giants such as John Langalibalele Dube, uMafukuzela, Chief Albert Luthuli, Mahatma Gandhi, Pixley Kaisaka Seme, Robert Sobukwe, Yusuf Dadu, Oliver Reginald Tambo, Walter Sisulu, Steve Biko, Bayes Nodie, Bram Fisher, and many, many others who took over the baton of struggle from those brave
colleagues from the UK. I want to begin by thanking my
recording the really warm hospitality of our delegation. I remember I was with Minister Mulewa in June 2011, where we had productive consultations, and also when you came.
Colleagues from the UK. I want to begin by thanking my dear friend and colleague, Minister Mashabani, for hosting us for this 10th UK-South Africa bilateral forum.
So it's supposed to be in Cape Town before that.
I'm aware. Yeah.
No.
I can have a lot of it. 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 I can Yellow plates.